New York City, 1994. The city that never sleeps was about to face its darkest nightmare. In the cold early morning hours of March 15, Officer Martinez discovered a body inside an abandoned Brooklyn warehouse. The victim lay twisted on the concrete floor, bearing wounds that spoke of calculated cruelty. The killing was not random. It was deliberate. Precise. Beside the body lay a single playing card. The Ace of Spades. Detective Sarah Rivera had spent 12 years on the force. She had seen gang executions, domestic murders, and scenes so brutal they haunted her dreams. But this was different. It wasn't just murder, she would later say. It was a message. Within 6 weeks, 4 more bodies were discovered, each in a different borough: Manhattan, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island. Every crime scene was spotless. No fingerprints. No DNA. No witnesses. Just one constant. The Ace of Spades. The media named him the Phantom. Panic spread across the city. People avoided subways at night. Bars closed early. The nightlife that defined New York dimmed. The NYPD formed a special task force. Detectives worked around the clock, chasing leads that led nowhere. The Phantom struck at unpredictable times, vanishing moments before police arrived. Rivera noticed something unsettling. His timing was too perfect. He attacked during shift changes. He avoided patrols by minutes. He vanished just before backup arrived. Someone's feeding him information, Rivera told her captain. The idea was dismissed immediately. No one wanted to believe corruption ran that deep. The body count climbed. 7 victims. Then 9. Then 12. New York was paralyzed by fear. The Phantom was no longer just a killer. He was a symbol of chaos. And no one could stop him. By August 1994, Detective Rivera stopped trusting official channels. She quietly investigated her own department. What she uncovered shattered her. Sergeant Michael Cortez, a respected 20-year veteran, was drowning in gambling debt. He had secret financial transactions. Encrypted calls made just hours before each murder. Rivera bypassed her captain and went straight to internal affairs. Within 48 hours, the truth surfaced. Cortez was leaking patrol schedules to Vincent Crane, a former NYPD detective forced out years earlier on corruption charges. Crane had planned everything. The task force set a trap using false patrol information in the meatpacking district. At 2:17 a.m., Crane appeared. Dressed in black. Carrying a duffel bag. A rooftop chase followed. This time, there was no escape. When surrounded, Crane smiled. "You think this ends anything?" he laughed. "I'm already a legend." His trial dominated the media. The motive was clear: revenge. The city that destroyed his career would burn. Crane was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms at Sing Sing prison. As he was led away, he turned to the cameras. The Phantom never dies. New York exhaled. The nightmare was over. Or so they thought. February 1997. During a stormy prisoner transfer, Vincent Crane vanished. The transport van was found abandoned. Guards unconscious. Alive. Crane had built a network inside prison: guards, clerks, even a deputy warden. All bribed. All loyal. Within 72 hours, the killings resumed. But this time, the victims were police officers. Ace of Spades. Execution-style murders. Public taunts. Crane was hunting everyone who had ever touched his case. The city descended into chaos. Officers went into hiding. Federal agents flooded New York. Lieutenant Sarah Rivera knew the truth. Crane wasn't a vigilante, he was a psychopath hiding behind a cause. Working with the FBI, Rivera exposed his remaining informants, among them, her own mentor. With his network collapsing, Crane made his final move. Rivera. She became the bait. The final confrontation took place deep in abandoned subway tunnels beneath Harlem. Crane threatened to detonate explosives and take an entire city block with him. But this time, he miscalculated. The detonator was knocked away. The fight was brutal. Short. Final. Vincent the Phantom Crane died on the cold tunnel floor. The bomb squad disarmed the explosives before dawn. 25 lives had already been lost. Rivera received the Medal of Honor, but called it no victory. "This is a tragedy," she said. "One we'll carry forever." Crane became a dark legend. But legends fade. Monsters fall. Phantom. Vincent Crane was dead. That was the official statement. But New York had learned the hard way that nothing about the Phantom was ever simple. In the weeks after Crane's death, the city tried to return to normal. Patrol cars went back on the streets. Officers removed their constant body armor. Nightlife slowly reawakened. Yet inside NYPD headquarters, fear lingered. Because Crane's network had been deeper than anyone imagined. Federal investigators combed through seized documents, burner phones, and encrypted hard drives recovered from Crane's safe houses. What they found was disturbing. Crane hadn't just planned murders. He had planned continuation. Dozens of names were listed in his journals. Some crossed out. Some circled. Some marked with a single letter, S. Sleeping. Lieutenant Rivera was among them. She pushed for the investigation to continue, but pressure came from above. Politicians wanted closure. The public wanted peace. The department wanted the story buried. Crane is dead, they told her. Let the city heal. Rivera wasn't convinced. Monsters like Crane never worked alone. And they never planned for. The cult of the Phantom. As arrests were made, a terrifying truth emerged. Vincent Crane had followers. Not just criminals, but civilians. Online forums appeared overnight, glorifying the Phantom as a symbol of rebellion. They called themselves the Spades. They shared manifestos. They analyzed crime scenes. They celebrated every killing. Some believed Crane was still alive. Others believed his death had been planned. One post went viral: the Phantom was never one man. He was an idea. Rivera tracked the movement offline. Secret meetups. Underground gatherings. People wearing Ace of Spades rings. Then a raid uncovered something chilling. A training space. Weapons. Police schedules. And a map of New York divided in two zones. This wasn't fandom. It was preparation. The cult of the Phantom. As arrests were made, a terrifying truth emerged. Vincent Crane had followers. Not just criminals, but civilians. Online forums appeared overnight, glorifying the Phantom as a symbol of rebellion. They called themselves the Spades. They shared manifestos. They analyzed crime scenes. They celebrated every killing. Some believed Crane was still alive. Others believed his death had been planned. One post went viral: the Phantom was never one man. He was an idea. Rivera tracked the movement offline. Secret meetups. Underground gatherings. people wearing Ace of Spades rings. Then a raid uncovered something chilling. A training space. Weapons. Police schedules. And a map of New York divided in 2 zones. This wasn't fandom. It was preparation. The Night of Spades. November 22nd. 7 locations across New York were hit simultaneously. Bomb threats. Arson attacks. Shootings. All distractions. The real target was one police plaza. The Spades attempted to storm the building, believing Rivera was inside. They were wrong. Rivera had anticipated it. The response was brutal and fast. SWAT teams neutralized the attackers. 12 suspects were killed or arrested. But before dying, one whispered something that haunted Rivera. "He told us you'd hesitate." She knew exactly who he was referring to. The man leading the Spades, the final heir to the Phantom. The leader was identified as Elias Crane. Vincent Crane's son. Unknown to the public. Raised in secret. Groomed through letters, recordings, and prison visits disguised as legal counsel. Elias wasn't a copycat. He was the continuation. Rivera tracked him to an abandoned ferry terminal on the Hudson River. The confrontation was quiet. No explosions. No speeches. Just truth. "You killed my father," Elias said. "I stopped a monster," Rivera replied. Elias hesitated. That hesitation saved her life. He surrendered. And with him, the cult collapsed. Elias Crane was sentenced to life in federal prison. The Spades were dismantled. Their forums shut down. Their leaders imprisoned. New York finally healed. Lieutenant Sarah Rivera retired quietly 2 years later. She never wrote a book. Never gave interviews. On her last day, she left one note on her desk: "Evil doesn't disappear. It waits for permission." The Ace of Spades was locked away in evidence storage, never displayed, never spoken of again. Vincent Crane faded into history. Not a hero. Not a legend. Just a reminder that monsters only win when people stop watching.